Hey, what's up guys? So welcome to this video in which we are going to take a look at Visual Studio Code setup for web developers. So Visual Studio Code is simply a code editor, and to get started with Visual Studio Code, you first need to download it. You can visit code.visualstudio.com and then you can download for Windows, for Linux, or for Mac OS. I'll leave a link at the description section below for this download page so that you can download and install it in your machine. Once you download and install Visual Studio Code in your machine, you'll need to open it, and once you open it, you'll land into a page just like this one. So this is just a welcome page, and the first thing that you might ask yourself is, how do I open a new project? How do I create a file? And so on and so forth. So we have several ways in which you can open a project with Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to show you 4 of them. The first one is this one right here, where we have a welcome page, and you can click on open file right here, and that will open a pop-up. You can navigate to a particular file and open it. Another one is open a folder. That will also open this pop-up to navigate to a particular folder. Now the thing is, I don't usually like having this welcome page every time I open Visual Studio Code. So how you can remove it, you can go to manage right here, and then you can go to settings, and from settings you can search for welcome, and you'll see this section, startup editor. So you can select none, so that whenever you open Visual Studio Code, you'll not always see this welcome page. So now I can close this, and what we'll be seeing is a page just like this one. And from here you can see we have some shortcuts for opening a file or opening a folder. So you can open a file by pressing Ctrl O, and that will open this pop-up again to navigate. You can use Control K and Control O to open this particular pop-up to navigate to a particular folder for a particular project. You can open a recent project using Control R, and this will give you a list of projects that you have worked on before on Visual Studio Code, and you can see I have been working on it for a while. Now that is the second way of opening a file or a project. The other way is coming at the top here. You can click on file, and then you'll have open file, open folder, open recent project. When you click on open folder, you can navigate to a particular project or folder. Now we have the fourth way, which is my most favorite, and it's the one that I mostly use. So what I'll need to do is to just close this one, and then I'll minimize the browser, and right here I can create a new project from my desktop. So I'll create a folder called project. When I hit enter, that will create that folder. I double click to open the folder, and at the path here I can type cmd and hit enter to open that path on the terminal. And from the terminal, since I have Visual Studio Code installed, I can use this command, code space and a period or a full stop. I hit enter, and now this project or this folder will open on Visual Studio Code. So in most of my tutorials, you see me doing something like this, because I find this to be the easiest way to open a project with Visual Studio Code, instead of going to Visual Studio Code and start navigating to a particular project. Now, since we have this project open on Visual Studio Code, now we can add a file using this particular icon, and I can say index.html. When I hit enter, this will create an index.html file for us and also open it right here. So you can see it's on a tab, which we can also close using this icon. Now the cool thing with VS Code is that it comes pre-configured with something we call Emmet, and Emmet provides some cool shortcuts which we can work with on a HTML file and also on a CSS file. For example, to generate a HTML sample, you can click on the exclamation mark, and then hit enter. That will generate a HTML sample, but the one that I like to use is control plus space, and then I can click on HTML sample, and this will create a HTML sample for us. We can change the title, project, and we can move to the highlighted part using tab, and we can edit them if we want. The cool thing is that you see it's already linking to a CSS file and a JavaScript file. Now from the body, we can exercise some few Emmet shortcuts which you can make use of. I won't go through all of them because there are so many. I'll leave a link at the description section below where you can check out for more. But let's go through the common ones which you can make use of. Now we have the self-browsing tag capability. So if I want to create a div, I can just say div. When I hit enter, that will create an opening tag and a closing tag, and I can enter something in the middle. So that is a cool feature that comes with VS Code. Another one is when I want to create a div with a class, let's say of container, I hit enter, that will create a div with a class of container. And you can also add an ID using div hash container. That will create a div with an ID of container. We can combine them, div dot container and then hash container. So I misspelled this one, and I need to delete this one and add it again so that Emmet detects. And then when I hit enter, now we have a div with a class of container and an ID of container. We can nest elements. So let's say we want to have a div, and then inside this div we want to have a paragraph. Inside the paragraph, let's say we want to have a span, and the span we want it to have a class of, let's say, about. When I hit enter, you can see now we have a div. Inside the div we have a paragraph. Inside the paragraph we have a span with a class of about. Another cool thing is that we can multiply elements. Let's say we want to have a UL. Inside the UL we have an LI, and we want to have 4 of them. So we can say UL and then a greater than symbol Li times 4. When I hit enter, now look, we have 4 of them. Now we can also have siblings. So siblings are elements at the same level. Let's say we want to have a paragraph, and then at the same level we also want to have a UL. So I can say P plus UL. When I hit enter, you can see now this P and UL are at the same level. Another cool thing is that you can have some dummy text. So how you can add some dummy text is using lolem, and then when I hit enter, we have that long line of lolem ipsum text, and we can add a setting to wrap our content. So what we can do, we can come to settings here, and then from here we can search for wrap. And from wrap, you need to look for this one, editor word wrap, not this one. We have this and this. So from this, just come here and turn this one on. And now our words will wrap. Now look, we don't have that long line. It's cut off to where we can see. Now with the lolem, you can specify the number of words. You can say lolem, and then let's say we want just 5 words. Hit enter, and there we go. If you want to add a paragraph with some content in it, you can say P and then use these curly brackets, and then from in here you can add the content. Let's say about. When I hit enter, now we have a P with content of about. So Emmet is a very cool feature, and you can use it both in a HTML file and also in a CSS file. So if I come here, I can click on a new file. I add main.css, and from here, let's say we select a p tag and we want to add a color of green. What we can do is to just say C full colon, and then we add the color green. When I hit enter, that creates color green. If I want a margin around our p tag of 5px, I just say M full colon 5. When I hit enter, that creates a margin of 5x. If I want a P with a padding of 5 rem, I can say P full colon 5 rem. I hit enter, that will create a padding of 5 rem. So you can use Emmet both on a CSS file and HTML file, and there are so many shortcuts which you can use. So I'll leave a link to a complete documentation of Emmet at the comment section below, but the ones that I have showed you are the ones that I mostly use. Now we have an autosave feature in VS Code. You can save this one manually using Control S to save that file. You can come to file here and then you can save from here, but we also have an autosave. So if I come to settings and then you can search for auto save, and from here you see autosave. You can turn this one after delay, and now after delay of 100 milliseconds our file will autosave, and you can see index.html have been automatically been saved. So I like to keep this one at off so that I have a complete control, especially when creating tutorials. But for you, you may need to turn this one on so that you don't leave work that is not saved. Okay. And then we have what we call a split editor. So I can work on two virtual screens right here. I can come to this icon right here. When I click it, it will split our editor. And now I can navigate to this and I can work on both index.html file and main.css file simultaneously. So like from here, I can see a p tag and select it in our HTML. I can see the classes that I have, select them here and work on them. I can come back to HTML and add content instead of going back and forth to different tabs. And when I click on here, you can also open more tabs. For example, I can open index.html file on here and you can work on it. You can just close this one by clicking them and that will close the split. Okay, now you can also create a folder from here. Here we have an icon for creating a folder, let's say images, and you can add images in that particular folder, which is really cool. So let's take a look at what we have at the side here. These icons, what do they mean? We have this icon here, which is the Explorer. You can see all your files from here. We have a search, and from the search, you can search for anything in your project. For example, let's search for P, and for P, you can see we have the P tags in index.html and also in CSS. And then we have the source control. So if you are using Git and GitHub, you can connect a repository right here or initialize a Git repository right here. So to initialize a repository, just click this. And now we will have this as a Git repository. You can confirm that by going to the project right here, and you will see we have this .git folder right now. And if you don't see it on Windows, you can go to view and then you display the hidden items. Okay, now this is a Git repo, and to add commit messages is very easy. You can just come right here and you type a message. Let's say initial commit, and when you click on this check, it will add this commit message. So you can see the following file has unsaved changes which won't be included in the commit. So what you can do, you can come right here and save it, but if you have the autosave feature on, you don't need that. And now when I click this one, would you like to stage all the changes and commit them directly? I can say yes. Now all the changes will be staged for commit. That is the similar thing to git add command when using a terminal, and they will be committed. Now the other thing that you might want to do when working with source control is to link to a GitHub account and then push the code to that particular GitHub account. So what you can do is to create a repository in GitHub. I can come to the browser, go to my GitHub right here, and from GitHub I can create a new repository. So I'll just come to repository. If you don't have a GitHub account, you can go to github.com, create an account, and then go to repositories, and you can create a new repository. So I'll click on new here to create a new repository real quick. I'll call this one test project. I'll make it private because I'll remove it in a few, and then create repository. Once the repository is created, all you need is this link. Copy that link, go to Visual Studio Code, and then from these three dots, click them, and then you can come here, remote, add remote, and we will paste this link right there. When I hit enter, we enter a name for that particular remote project, and I'll call it test project also. I hit enter, and now we have that remote repository added to our Visual Studio Code. Once it's added, how you can push the changes is coming right here, and then you can come pull, comma push, and then you can come to push to. You click it, and then you select the project here, and that will push to that particular project. And you don't need to write any Git commands at all. So I'll wait for this to complete loading here, and then we will preview it on our browser. Now when I come to the browser, I refresh, I should see the code added to GitHub. And there we go. And if you are getting started, you might be asked for password and a username, so please enter that. Okay. Another thing is that if you are used to using the terminal, you can just use this terminal right here. Click on this terminal, new terminal, and this will open a new terminal at the bottom here. And you can use this terminal to work with source control or to install packages from npm and so on. So from here, I can work with git commands like git status. I hit enter, and now you can see on branch master, nothing to commit, working tree clean, you can git add, and you can use all those other git commands. You can work on multiple terminals, which is really cool. Right here you can click plus, and now you can see we have two terminals. This is the second one, and this is the first one. So you can switch between them, you can delete all, and the terminal will close. So that is a very cool feature that comes with Visual Studio Code and integrated internal terminal right there. Right here we have a debug feature where you can debug your code, and then right here we have extensions. So you can use extensions to customize the look and feel of your Visual Studio Code. For example, we can change the theme, and the one that I like to use is called the Moonlight theme. So if I search for Moonlight here, click it, you can see I have already installed it, but it is disabled. So you need to install it, and you might need to also reload your code editor. You'll see a button called reload. Click it to reload, or you might need to just close and then open again. So to activate the theme, you can come to manage here and then color theme, and you can select the theme from this drop down. So you can see we have other themes here, and I like to use the Moonlight theme, and when I select that, you will see that our text will transform. And then we have a theme for the icons, these icons right here, and the one that I use is called the material icon theme. So you can search for material icon, and make sure you have internet connection. I click on material icon theme, you install it and reload if needed, and you can see that I have already installed. To activate it, you can come to manage and then come to file icon theme, and then you can select the theme from here, and I'll select material icon, click that, and now you will see that this icon have changed. When I come back here to the Explorer, you'll see the folder have changed and the icons have changed, which looks really nice. So if you want to run this HTML file on the browser, you can use an awesome extension called live server. So you can search for live server and then click on live server here and install it. You can see I have already installed, and if it requires reload, click on the reload button to refresh Visual Studio Code. And then now you can come to Explorer here and right click on index.html file and open with live server. So I clicked on open with live server, and this will open the file on Chrome, which is my default browser. So here it is, it's opening now. And the cool thing with the live server is that whenever you make a change on your files and save, you'll see them happen on the browser without refreshing the browser. So if I place this side by side with my code editor here and then come to the HTML file here, maybe I add a H2 with content of Chaoo Charles. I hit enter, we'll have a heading Chaoo Charles. When we save, you'll see that our browser will refresh and we'll have Chaoo Charles added right there. Now this is very cool because you can see the changes as you make them even in CSS. For example, here in CSS, we can select the H2 here, and then let's add a color of red. Just like that, you can use the Emmet shortcut, which is much easier, by C full colon red, enter, and now you will see when we save the file it will reload, and now this is in red. Now another thing that I might show you from the extensions is an extension called Prettier, and Prettier is a code formatter, and it helps us to write a readable code more easily. So what you need to do is to search for Prettier, click on it and then install it. And once you install it, we need to go to manage here, go to settings, and what you need to search here is for formatter. So search formatter. Once you search for formatter, you'll see default formatter here. Click the drop down and then look for Prettier code formatter. Click it so that it's there, and now we will use Prettier to format the code. Another thing that you might want to do is format on save, so make sure this is checked. Now when I go to index.js file and let's add some code which is not pretty, I can add a UL. In the UL I add li, like 4 of them, and then let's make them look weird. So what you can do is disorganize them just like this way, disorganize the p tag, disorganize the body too. So you see this other cool feature for expanding and minimizing the code right there. And then let's disorganize that. When I click save, you'll see that Prettier will automatically format our code. And another thing from settings is that you can change the size of the font here. So to change the size of the font, you can search for font, and then actually I can just click from here. You will see text editor and then font. Click on font, and right here we have where you can change the font family, and right here we have where you can change the font size. If I change the font size to 17, then when I come back, you'll see that the font will be much bigger. To change the font family, you can just come here font, and at the beginning here you can enter the name of the font. For example, I like to use the DM mono font, so I can say DM mono and then comma. So when I come back, you'll see that the font will transform. So DM mono, you need to install it if you want to use it in your machine. And how you can install a font and use it on Visual Studio Code. For example, I'll show you with this DM mono. You can come to the browser, you go to Google Fonts. So I'll search for Google Fonts, hit enter, click that, and from here I can search for DM mono. You click it, And what you need to do is to download the font family. Once you download, you'll get it as a zipped folder. What you need to do is to extract it. Once you extract it, you will navigate to that particular folder where you have extracted it. So let me do this. So here are my fonts. Once you extract it, you'll get a folder like this one, TM Mono. You need to open it and then highlight everything using Control A. Use Control to deselect this one. And now from the highlighted fonts here, you can right click and you can install for all users or just install, and the font will be installed in your machine. And once you install, you may need to restart your VS Code, and then when you add that name right here for the font, it will be added in VS Code. So you can get the name from just right here. This is the actual name, DM Mono. Okay. Another alternative that I can recommend is filler code for the font. So if I come to the fonts here, you can try out this font. Filler code is a very awesome one, and also JetBrains Mono, it's a cool one. So for now I am using the M Mono, but before I have used filler code and also JetBrains Mono. So before I end this video, I want to show you some cool shortcuts which you can improve your coding speed with. Okay, so in VS Code, we usually have a lot of shortcuts, and you can find them by coming to Manage again, coming to Keyboard Shortcuts right here. And right here, you'll have a list of a lot of shortcuts which you can make use of them. I don't know all of them, but I know a few which improves my coding speed. So for example, if we come to main.css file here, let's say we have a UL here and we want to add a padding of 5. So we can come right here, we can duplicate this line using Alt, Shift and the bottom arrow. That will duplicate the line at the bottom. If you want it to duplicate at the top, you can use Alt, Shift and the top arrow. That duplicates it at the top. Now with this, let me remove this. We can move this padding of 5 frame to UL using Alt and the bottom arrow, just like that. Okay, and since we have Prettier installed, when we save this using Control S, our file will be auto formatted to look much better. Another cool feature is for performing multiple edits. So if I highlight this and then use Control D, you will see that since 5 frame is the same as 5 frame here, we can edit it at the same time simultaneously using the two cursors. So I can move to the front here and change this to 4 in one go, which is really cool. Let's say we want this to be 4px and this one to be 4px. We can blink the cursor there and then press Alt and then click there. Now we have two cursors and we can edit. Look, and now I can say 4px. Now we have edited twice. When I save, Prettier auto formats the code for me. Another cool feature in VS Code is for copy and pasting. Let's say the cursor is there. You don't need to highlight the whole line. You just need to press Ctrl C, and when I go on a different line and say Ctrl V, you'll see that we copied padding of 4px without highlighting it. To duplicate a block of code, you'll need to highlight the block of code, then use Alt, Shift and the bottom or the top arrow to duplicate that particular block of code. And then to open and close the side section right here or the sidebar, you can use the Control B. That will open and close the side bar. Another shortcut that you might want to use is for navigating through the different files. Use Control P and you can navigate through the files easily here without using the cursor. Control P, I can go to index.html file. And then Control Shift P will give you what we call the command palette. Will give you access to some different features right here. You can open settings.json. You can change the color theme. You can show the Emmet commands and some cool other features right here. So for now, what I want is to clear the settings. So I can open settings.json, and you can customize your settings from here from a JSON file. And you can also clear all the settings by deleting this and saving it if you want to do so. And now we are back to where we started. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good introduction to Visual Studio Code. There is much more into it. There are tons of extensions that I use, but I showed you the four of them which you might wanna get started with. There are a lot of Emmet shortcuts, and all this may require a different video from this one. This was just an introduction to Visual Studio Code, and I can come up with more videos on Visual Studio Code if you want to. You can create your own theme and much more. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Also, please make sure you subscribe to my channel for more cool videos just like this one.